You felt it again, not long ago. Someone was kind to you. Steady, available. They answered when you called. They did not make you wait or wonder or earn it. And something inside you went quiet. Not peaceful, quiet the way a room goes quiet when the music suddenly stops. You called it boredom. You called it no spark. And slowly, almost without deciding to, you began to pull away from the person who was good to you. And then you remembered the other one, the one who made you ache, the one whose silence could empty a whole week, the one you had to decode and chase and win back and forgive again. And you remember how alive you felt, how real it was, how that storm, that hunger, that exquisite uncertainty, that felt like love. The one who hurt you felt like home, and the one who was gentle felt like nothing. So here is the question I want you to sit inside tonight. Who taught you that love is supposed to hurt? Who taught you that calm is the same thing as empty, and safety the same thing as boredom, and that if it does not cost you something, it cannot be real? Because someone did. You were not born believing this. The belief that love must wound you to be true, that belief was installed. And tonight, gently, we are going to find the one who installed it. We are going to listen to the recording that has played underneath every relationship you have ever had, the one so old you stopped hearing it as a recording and started mistaking it for your own heart. And then we are going to do the thing it never let you do. We are going to turn its volume down and finally hear what was always playing underneath. So stay with me. The teacher is closer than you think. And the moment you can name it, a different kind of love becomes possible for you. One you have walked past 100 times because it never hurt enough for you to recognize it.
Let me show you what this has cost you. Not in theory, in the rooms of your actual life. Think of the people you walked away from because it was too easy. The warm, consistent ones you dismissed for having no spark. What if that was not instinct at all, only the absence of alarm, and a body so trained to equate alarm with aliveness that it could not recognize peace as love? And think of the ones you stayed with far too long, whose affection arrived like rain after drought, rare and sudden and so relieving you forgave everything to feel it again. You told yourself the intensity was love, but intensity is not depth. A wound is intense. An alarm bell is intense. The body screaming is the most intense feeling there is, and it is not love. It is fear wearing love's face. And it is not only your romances. If you learned that love must be earned through suffering, you learned to suffer for love in every room. You overgive. You apologize for your needs as if they were crimes. You feel guilt whenever something is given freely because in your story, love was never free. It was a wage, and a wage can be docked. So you brace, always, for the moment the warmth gets taken away. That is the real stake here. Not one bad relationship. The whole architecture of how you let yourself be loved for the rest of your life. The good ones who keep leaving because you could not feel them. The painful ones you keep returning to because at least you can feel those. and the slow conviction that love is simply not in the cards for you, when the truth is that real love has been knocking the whole time, in a register so gentle you were trained not to hear it. But this is not your fate. It is a recording, made by specific hands a very long time ago. And a recording, unlike a fate, can be heard and named and finally turned all the way down.
Now we name it correctly, because the name you were given is wrong, and it has kept you ashamed of the wrong thing. You decided somewhere that you are broken, that you sabotage good things, that you are drawn to the wrong people, that you are simply broken in love. Let me take that away from you, because it is false. You are not drawn to suffering because you are broken. You are drawn to it because very early, before you had any words, your nervous system learned what love feels like. Not what love is, what it feels like. The exact sensation present the first time you ever met the word. And for most who struggle with this, that first sensation was not calm, it was vigilance. The held breath of a child watching a parent's face to learn if the house was safe today. It was sweetness that came only after the storm, so relief and love fused into one feeling. It was affection given as a reward and taken as a punishment. And so, peace to a body raised this way does not register as love. Peace registers as the dangerous quiet before something breaks. Do you see what that means? The thing you call chemistry, that magnetic pull toward a certain kind of person, is very often not your soul recognizing its match. It is your wound recognizing its shape. Not longing, memory. Your body meets someone whose unpredictability matches the frequency you were tuned to as a child, and it lights up, and you call that destiny. But it is not destiny, it is familiarity. And familiarity, when home was painful, will always feel more like love than safety does. And your own chemistry seals it. When affection comes unpredictably, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, the brain does not lose interest, it becomes obsessed. The same machinery that keeps a gambler at a machine that pays out only sometimes keeps you fixated on the person who loves you only sometimes. So this is the frame, not that you are broken, that you were trained to read pain as the signal of love and calm as its absence. The map is not slightly off, it is reversed. And the first step out is simply to know it is a recording and to ask the only question that matters. Who recorded it? So let us meet the teachers. There are 4 of them, and you will know each one. The first made love conditional. The caregiver whose warmth was a reward and whose coldness was a punishment. Love that arrived when you were good and withdrew when you were difficult. So you learned the first law. Love is earned. Love is a wage, and you have been overgiving to deserve it ever since. The second was the volatile home, the house where the weather changed without warning, where calm was the most dangerous moment of all, because calm was when you let your guard down and got hurt. So you learned the second law. Peace is the eye of the storm. Never trust the quiet. And now, the moment a relationship becomes peaceful, an alarm you never set begins to ring, and you go looking for the storm yourself, because the waiting is worse than the having. The third was the romantic myth. Every song and story that swore real love is tragic, that longing is more beautiful than having, that you have not truly loved unless it nearly broke you. So you came to mistrust ease itself, certain that a love this calm could not be the big thing the stories promised. And the fourth was the first love, the first heartbreak, landing when you were young enough to set the template forever, because the brain imprints on its first experience of love, and whatever it felt like then, even if it was chaos, became the master copy your body still searches for and calls home. And here is their cruelty. They do not feel like teachers, they feel like you. The conditional parent disguises itself as your generosity, the volatile home as your intuition, the myth as your depth, the first love as your one true standard. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. Every one of them wears the costume of a virtue. 4 teachers, 4 laws, 1 old tape. And the reason it feels impossible to change is that you have been arguing with your own taste when the thing speaking was never your taste at all.
Here is the turn, the sentence that changes everything. The suffering was never the love. Say it again, slowly. The suffering was never the love. It was the cost, the price you paid for loving people who could not love you back safely. And in the confusion of being young and aching and devoted, you made one understandable mistake. You mistook the cost for the thing itself. But the pain was never proof of love. It was proof that the love was not safe. Those are opposites. The high you felt in those unforgettable relationships was not the size of the love, it was the size of the relief. A glass of water is ordinary. A glass of water after 3 days in the desert is the best thing you ever tasted. You were not tasting great love. You were tasting the end of a thirst someone kept you in. And a person who is not depriving you simply cannot produce that high. Not because they love you less, because they are not withholding the water. And now, calm. When someone steady loves you without games, and you feel that flatness, that absence of the familiar storm, your body files a report that says, "This is not love." But the report is wrong. What you feel is the absence of fear. And because love and fear were fused at the very beginning, the absence of fear feels like the absence of love. It is not. It is the first time you have ever met love without terror attached to it, and your body, never having met this, calls it nothing. So you are not broken. You are reading a reversed map with perfect accuracy, and a map can be redrawn. You can teach your body that calm is what love feels like when it is finally safe, that the quiet is not the absence of the song, but the song played without the alarm underneath it. The suffering was never the love. Let that be the new recording. Your heart was always real. It was only ever the teachers who were wrong. So, how do you retune an instrument set against your will to the frequency of alarm? 3 movements.
Hear the recording. Feel the calm. Stay. The first is to hear the recording, not to fight it, only to hear it. The next time you feel that magnetic pull towards someone who keeps you uncertain, or that flat deadness towards someone good to you, pause and ask one question. Is this my heart, or is this the tape? Is this longing, or only memory? The recording has a sound. It sounds like urgency, like if I do not win this person, I will not survive, a child's panic dressed up as a grown-up's passion. And the moment you can hear it and name it, you have put a sliver of space between yourself and the pull. You are no longer the recording. You are the one listening to it. The second is to feel the calm. When you are with someone safe and that quiet rises and every cell wants to call it boredom and leave, you stay in the quiet on purpose and feel it without naming it as nothing. Not the absence of a storm, the presence of safety. The first few times it will feel unbearable, the way silence is unbearable to someone who has only known noise. Let it. The discomfort is just old wiring being asked to carry a gentler current. And the third is the bravest. Stay. Because when the recording cannot pull you toward chaos, it will make the calm unbearable until you sabotage it yourself. The urge to pick a fight, to find a flaw, to manufacture the drama your body is starving for. That is the moment. You feel the craving move through you like a wave, and you let it pass without obeying it, and you stay one more hour, one more day. And every time you stay, you teach your body a sentence it has never heard. The calm was safe after all. Notice what this asks of the other person. Nothing. Once your body can finally feel calm as love, the right person becomes visible, not because they arrived, but because you can finally feel them. Now, the small practices that carry this into your actual days. Insight alone changes nothing. It is the small, repeated movements that rewire a life. First, notice the pull toward the thorn. Track, without judgment, the moment you spike toward someone unavailable and the moment you go flat toward someone kind. Just name it. A pattern you can see the instant it begins has already started to lose its grip. Second, name the teacher. When the pull rises, ask which of the four is speaking. The conditional parent, saying love must be earned. The volatile home, saying this peace is too good to trust. The myth, saying ease cannot be deep. The first love, measuring everyone against an old wound. You need not be certain. The asking is the medicine, because a voice with a name is a voice you can choose not to obey. Third, let calm be calm. With someone safe, when the quiet rises, do not reach for your phone or pick at a flaw. Sit in it 30 seconds longer than is comfortable and say gently, "This quiet is not emptiness. This is safety. I am allowed to rest here." Fourth, stop auditioning. Catch yourself over-giving, over-explaining, performing to earn a love that should be freely offered, and do less. Offer the bare truth of yourself, and let it be enough. The ones who only wanted the performance will drift, and that is the practice working. The ones who stay are showing you what love without suffering looks like. And fifth, separate the spark from the soil. The spark is intensity, often just your wound recognizing its shape. The soil is whether someone is safe, steady, kind, able to stay. You have always chosen the spark and called the soil boring. Begin to weight the soil. A spark in poor soil burns out and takes you with it. A quieter warmth in good soil becomes the only thing that ever lasts. Do these, not perfectly, just faithfully, and over the seasons, the pull toward the thorn weakens, and the calm slowly starts to feel like home.
So let us answer the question we began with. Who taught you that love requires suffering? Now you know. It was not one person. It was a home that paid love like a wage, a house where calm was the eye of a storm, every song that swore depth must be tragic, a first love that imprinted its chaos as the master copy of your heart. 4 teachers, each taught the same lesson by their own teachers, none of them choosing it, all of them passing it down the way grief gets passed down, silently, dressed as love. You inherited a wound and were told it was a romance, and you have been loyal to that lesson ever since. But loyalty to a lie is not a flaw. It is the proof of how much you were built to love. You took the worst instruction a heart can be given and gave it everything. You walked away from the gentle and chased the storm, not because you were drawn to pain, but because someone taught you pain was the doorway, and no one ever told you there was another way in. You are not broken. You are running someone else's code. And now you see it. And once you have heard the recording, you can never again mistake it for your own heart. So before you go, picture it once. Someone loving you steadily. No games, no withdrawals, just warmth that stays. And picture yourself this time, not flinching from it, not calling it boring, not reaching for a flaw to ruin it. Picture yourself feeling that calm rise and naming it correctly and staying, letting it count, letting it at last be love. That is not a fantasy. That is a skill. And it grows stronger every time you practice it. Hear the recording. Feel the calm. Stay. The next time love comes without pain, and it will, do not turn it away for being too quiet to recognize. Stay long enough to hear what is underneath. It was always, always love. Until the next becoming, stay open, stay calm, stay home.